Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and I'm back with another response video. This time it is for HellHound over at the HorrorMetal channel, and if you're not subscribed to him I will leave a link in the description box below, so please check him out. Great YouTuber, big into horror and heavy metal, two things I absolutely love, so yeah, link below. Anyway, he came up with a really awesome tag, top 5 horror directors, and I wanted to do a response. So we're going to start at number 5 and work my way down to my all-time favourite horror director. So coming in at number 5 we have Steve Miner, and this may seem like an odd choice, but I've gone with directors where I pretty much like most of their movies that they have put out, in terms of horror anyway. So yeah, number 5 goes to Steve Miner. He directed Friday the 13th Part 2, which is my favourite, Part 3, which is another one of my favourites. He also directed Lake Placid, Halloween H2O, which I love, and I may get a bit of flack for this one, but he also directed the Day of the Dead remake, which is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's not a good movie, I know it's bad, but yeah, it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure. So for the most part, I've liked most of the horror movies that he's directed. So he sits at number 5. I think he is a great director. He's mostly done slashes and some fantastic ones at that, but he's also directed a few other horror movies that I've also enjoyed as well. So he seems to know the genre pretty well, in my opinion, and yeah, I just think he's a good director. So that is Steve Miner at number 5. Number 4 we have Greg McLean, and he's an Aussie director, and if you guys are familiar with the Wolf Creek series, he was the director behind that amazing franchise. So he directed both of the movies and the television series as well, and he also directed another Australian horror movie, a creature feature called Rogue, which is also really good. So in terms of an Aussie horror director, Greg McLean is amazing. He brought us, in my opinion, the greatest horror icon that Australia has seen with Mick Taylor from the Wolf Creek franchise, so definitely had to include him in the list. Okay, so moving on, sitting at number 3, this guy needs no introduction. He is the Italian master of horror, in my opinion, and that of course goes to Dario Argento. What an amazing director. I don't really need to talk too much about this guy because I'm sure everyone is well familiar with him and the amazing films that he has done over the years. He's released some absolutely phenomenal giallo films, Cat o' Nine Tails, Deep Red, Tenebrae, just to name a few. Of course he did Phenomena and Suspiria. He is just an absolutely talented director, and he definitely had to be on my list. Sitting at number 2, and this was tough with the placements of these two directors, but sitting at number 2 I put George A. Romero, another absolute master of horror, especially in terms of the zombie genre. Again, this guy really needs no introduction, but this guy should be on any top 5 horror director list, in my opinion. Easily one of the best horror directors. He's pretty much started the zombie genre, and he was very consistent with his zombie movies. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, an absolutely amazing trilogy, despite my opinions on Night of the Living Dead being slightly overrated. You still can't deny that that is an absolutely amazing classic trilogy of movies. I also really loved Land of the Dead as well. Diary and Survival, not so much. But yeah, this guy is the absolute master when it comes to horror. Rest in peace, Romero. You are amazing. So again, he had to be on the list. Okay, and sitting at number 1, probably no surprise to a lot of you, I've got to give it to John Carpenter, mostly for creating the greatest horror movie of all time, Halloween. He did such an amazing job on that film. He created Michael Myers. He created one of the most iconic horror characters in horror history. and he also helped create the Amazing Halloween franchise. So yeah, pretty much for Halloween alone, John Carpenter deserves the #1 spot. Although I'm a big fan of a lot of his other films as well. The Fog and The Thing are two of my absolute favourite 80s horror movies as well. But yeah, he mostly gets #1 spot for creating the greatest horror film of all time, which is Halloween. Okay, so that was my response to HellHound or HorrorMetal, my top 5 horror directors. Let me know what you think of the directors that I have chosen for my top 5 in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And if you guys feel like doing a response to this, feel free to do so. I'm not really going to tag anyone because I don't know who's been tagged and who hasn't. So I'm going to leave this one completely open. So if you feel like uploading a response, that would be awesome. And once again, if you're not subscribed to HellHound, his link will be left in the description box below. Head on over and check him out. He's definitely worth subscribing to. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.